Welcome back to Cotton Frolic, everybody. We're here today, and Carol's going to do a new tutorial for us and show us a few things around. So, without further ado, here's Carol.
An intro. It's like Johnny Carson.
Ta-da!
Okay, the little quilt we're going to work on today is called Celina. And this is our second attempt at this video because I flubbed the first one so badly. We're learning as we go here. We understand that we put one up and there was a fan going in the background. And when you're here in real life, you can't hardly hear it. But on the video, it sounded like a jet engine right next to me. And we did the whole thing with that stupid fan on.
Well, it kept us cool the whole time, though. So.
Well, it's a cool morning. It's cool for us. It's like 70, what is it, about 78 degrees right now, and that seems very cool for us in Texas.
Yeah.
But anyway, I apologize for that.
It'll be 90-something this afternoon.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be a record hot day. It's supposed to be over 100.
Yep.
So, when I did this the other day, one of the reasons I'm going through these little by little is because I'm reinventing these little, or remaking these little quilts as I go. And so I was so paranoid about the fan, and I didn't want to make any big mistakes again. And then I started to work on the patterns, and I realized that one of the patterns was numbered incorrectly. So I'm glad I did it, and I did it all wrong, but we fixed it now, and all the numbers
fixed it. We changed the numbers up, so it's all correct. When you get your pattern, it'll be all just the way it's supposed to be.
I've done this forever, and it's second nature to me. So the numbers I don't even notice the numbers anymore, really. I just you can see from beginning to end how it's done. But if you're just a beginner, that numbering, it better be right. And it would have worked the way it was numbered, but it was awkward. So we fixed it. Oh, my Lord, we're doing it. We're trying. Okay, these are just some little blocks I worked on this week. I thought you might like to see them because they're very colorful, and it's just all eye candy to me.
Oh,
but
boy.
They're a bunch of little 1.5-inch blocks. And Jay's going to give you a microscopic view. And these are some little quilts. This, you probably already saw. I had this partially done. It's not finished yet. It's just a little top still. So all the paper needs to be taken out.
That's the number one block that we just did a video and put up. So
this is done in micro size. These are 1-inch blocks.
We put the pattern up. We didn't do a video.
Yeah, we haven't.
But it's for sale on.
Oh yeah, you'll see it. You'll see block number 1. And okay, so that's one little thing I did, and I made these probably 35 years ago, and I brought these out just to show that I've been obsessed all these years. It didn't just start. But this was a 6-inch block, and I reduced it down to this about 1.25 inch size, and I made those. And my sister was going to have a baby, and we knew it was a little boy, and I wanted to make a quilt for him. And back art was something we were just starting to hear about, where people were making the backs artistic too, and I wanted to try to do something like that. So my first attempt was to make a label for the back of the quilt for Janice and her boy Brendan, who is now probably 35 years old. He has 2 children of his own. So to make the patch, I just reduced, there's a little piece of fabric on there. I just reduced it down as much as I thought I could, and now I look at that and think I could probably half that size. You can make them so small. But anyway, I made a patch for the back of the quilt and put my name and the date on it and a little note to him. And this is just a second one that I made for me, and I always intended to make a little frame for this, and you see how far I got with that. But I have boxes of little things like this that I've done that I thought you might like to see. So I have wanted forever to make a circle out of flying geese, and I finally figured out how to do it, and I think I'm the last quilt maker on earth to figure this out. You've seen a lot of New York beauties and things with this circle of geese, and I kept trying every way I could think of to measure it, and I finally went back to my old high school geometry days and got out a protractor and a compass, and it worked, and I made this little thing. It has a little star in the middle, which I think I'm going to change a little bit. But of course I made this, and I thought, well, I could make it littler. And so,
Oh my gosh.
I know, this one's really tiny. And it was really fun to do. It took a little while. I'm pretty fast now. And it probably took me most of a day to make this. But it'd be a really cool brooch or something. And so I decided to make it smaller. Isn't it cool?
It is cool.
I know. And on the back you can see all the little lines.
The pattern. Let's see the back of the other one.
Oh, yeah,
next
sure.
to it.
Oops, I'm sorry. Right here.
So you really get an idea of
The difference in
difference
size.
in size.
I know I didn't make notes of how much I reduced the size down, but yeah, I'm obsessed about making them as small as I can. So when I started to think about brooches, I started to think about pins where you could wear a little bit of art. So this week I made a bunch of little pins.
Oh boy.
Aren't they cute?
They are awesome.
I was having a really good day color-wise when I made these the other day.
Nice color in there.
I know. And
you need that like just pinned right up on your shoulder.
well, it's art to wear, right?
Yep.
I'm beginning to think of quilt making as art.
It is
We've
art.
all been paranoid about that all these years. Nobody wants to say art because you're going to get shot down. But in some sense of the word, it is art, and it's definitely a craft. And it's women's work. There aren't a whole lot of men that do this.
So
There are
on the
few.
back we have,
Yeah, another thread, of course.
oh of course,
And little pin backs.
little pin back.
Yeah. And I just ordered some, I'm going to change these out because you can still feel the end there. Like these are perfect for earrings because they don't touch your skin. But, you know, like if you wear it as a pin, that little thing is going to poke you. So I just bought some rubber backs for these so it covers over the little point so you can't feel it.
Those look cool. So where are these going to be available?
Well, they're going to be in Christmas stockings for most of the women that I know.
Uh-oh.
And I have one for Brazos too, a little sailboat that I made for Brazos.
Mm-hmm.
I should have brought that out. It has a little pirate skull and crossbones on the
Yeah.
sail. But I'll put some on Etsy if anybody wants them.
Etsy. So if somebody out there is going like, I need one of those to wear.
On the Cotton Frolic shop at Etsy.
Okay.
But anyway, I had fun making them. That was a good day color-wise.
Yay.
Okay, let me get everything out of the way.
So we're gonna make 3 blocks to make this
Yeah.
quilt
this little
right
quilt
here. And it's got 3 blocks, number 8, number 50.
you can't read them. 58 and number
58.
8 and pattern number 62.
62.
Yep.
So
And I'm
you
moving my sewing machine back and forth today because I haven't been ironing things in front of you because I thought you didn't want to watch me iron, but it makes them lay a lot flatter in it and they look better. So I'm going to iron.
Well, it's
today.
easier to see it when it's
Yeah, that's
not
true. It's
fluffy.
absolutely true. Not fluffy.
Yeah. So when you order the PDF pattern, you get those 3 blocks,
Yeah.
and you get them in 3
instructions.
sizes. So you can make the 1.5 inch, the 3 inch, or the 6 inch.
Okay, so if you're brand new to foundation paper piecing, just go to my first video, and it describes in excruciating detail how this is done. And I'll just go through these quickly. Once you know how to do it, this is all just second nature. It's very easy to do.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink it, and be sure
But
to
you
pull.
start with 1,
Yeah,
and you have the material from 1 and 2 back to back,
yeah,
or front to front,
that's exactly right.
pattern.
Front to front.
front to front.
But I try not to talk about that because the minute you start to think about the back of the thing, you get confused. And I learned to do this without ever thinking about what was happening on the back. I just sewed material on the lines
Think
on the
about
front.
that pattern in front of
Yeah,
you.
but if you start to think about, well, if this is facing in or out, and immediately it becomes upside down and backwards in your mind. So try not to think. It's yeah.
So now we're trimming the.
And the only one that is odd is the first one that goes on, because it has to face out. You're making the block on the back. Here we go. I'm talking about the back, and I always try not to. But it's going to be facing out, and you're finishing the quilt block on this side, but all the rest go face down, face to face with that first one. And then you're going to fold it over, and it'll be right side out. But boy, I'm telling you, that can confuse you so badly when you're just starting. So try not to think about the back. And because Jay is in my way, I brought out a washcloth, and I'm going to iron this little puppy right here with my ancient little iron. I bought this iron, oh, I don't know how many years ago, but it heats up instantly. It's starting to go on me. I see that it's starting to burn the front. It's had its day. But it heats up instantly. It's a little tiny handheld iron. I've had all the expensive irons. I know at the quilt show, they're just incredible irons that you can set face down and that have incredible steam. And you don't use steam for
Paper piecing.
paper piecing.
No.
No, you don't want to warp.
Steam and paper are not a
Yeah,
good
you don't
match
want to warp them.
unless you're trying to.
Yeah, you don't want to
steam your
warp the paper because it'll distort your block. So this little $8, it was $8. I bet it's not much more than that now, but I've probably had it for 15 years, something like that, and still going. Okay, so now we're going to number 3, and you just feel where it goes with your fingers. Okay. Maybe I don't have to press every one. I'll just press it at the end. What do you think? Think it'll work?
No, I'm not in charge. You're in charge.
God, I wish you'd make a decision for me once in a
Yeah,
while. You know that is not true.
I know. That is so not true.
I married a feminist. It seemed like such a good idea all those years ago, but he lets me make all my. What he lets me see, the language will never go away, will it?
It's just horrible. What the heck?
Okay, let me see if I can press it, and maybe I'll just iron it at the end because it's going to take too long. I picked some crazy colors this morning. I hope you're all awake. If you aren't when you started watching, you will be. Oranges, and I pulled all the things out of my little stash of Halloween material. And to me, hot pink is Halloween. I don't know. I get to make it up as I go. So we're getting ready for Halloween around here. Our little grandson Brazos, who rules the roost, he's an only child, and he has this whole posse of adults. We all travel with him everywhere he goes. We just went to San Antonio for a long weekend with his mom and dad and his other grandma and Mac. Well, I started to say Mac. They won't know who Mac is, will they? That's you.
No, it's me.
Mac and Gigi.
Mac
That's
and
Jay
Gigi.
and I.
Yep.
And we rent. I'm
Or
gonna
Mac
iron.
and G, as he used to say.
Mac and G. I have my first kind of gangster name. I love that. He calls me G.
Hey, G.
Hey, G. I know my mother named me Carol, and there is absolutely no nickname for Carol. It's awful. And there aren't many Carols around that are younger than 75. I've noticed we're all getting up there. But anyway, we all went to San Antonio with him for his birthday and had a blast. And I never have had a big thing about Halloween. I like it. You know, it's a great holiday, and I loved it when my kids were little. But it never, let me see. There we go. Hold it up to the light so you can see better. But now he has me dressing up in costumes. And
As you should.
yeah, and I have some big, like, crinoline things and, you know, I have a witch's hat, and I still have all the makeup and stuff. And I was ready to go back as a witch again this year, and he said, no, Gigi. You can't be a witch again.
You cannot be a witch
I know, you need
more
to
than
think
2
it.
times.
I know, he has a rule.
Yeah.
And they all think I'm a witch anyway. Everybody
Yep.
teases me because I have a thing with animals. I love
Yep.
animals, and they love me.
They love you.
And I don't know how that's witchy, but
They can spot you from across the pasture,
Yeah.
anywhere. Any animals, not just yours, but
Well, it's weird. We go places and somebody will come walking by with a service dog and they're supposed to ignore everything around them, but I'll have a service dog come lay its nose on my leg. I don't know. I definitely have a thing for animals.
mm-hmm.
You know what? I did something wrong. It'll only take a second. I thought, where is that black and
Well,
white
explain
going?
it to us.
Okay. I was going to put pink and green, which I have already done, but I added another pink that I don't need.
Oh,
I was just thinking that doesn't fit very well. And
so you're gonna take that pink out?
Yeah, it just takes a second. And, you know, mistakes are okay. It proves that I make mistakes too all the time. Every day I have something I have to take out. And you can see I've gotten to be good at it.
So we just snip the stitches and
Yep, just snip the stitches. I
paper's
use my...
still all in one piece, and
Yep.
we can just go back and put the
Yeah.
different color on there where we wanted it.
Yeah, I love my little... I love these new scissors because they're so sharp and they have like a needle point on them. I know. Yeah, they're the best scissors ever. But they have a sharp little point on them, and so I don't even use a...
Seam ripper thing?
That's it. Oh, thank God you were here. I couldn't think of seam
Oh
ripper.
my God.
Yeah,
Thank you,
but-
Nariva.
Jay takes Nariva for his memory, and I don't.
Yep.
And I'm hearing a lot about it lately. The things I can't remember. I haven't put my
She
keys
has
in the freezer.
Nariva, she just forgets to take
I know I
it.
do have Nariva. Shut up.
I think that
That's
proves,
not funny.
proves
is it?
my point.
All right, you're getting yourself into trouble now.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the truth. I forget to
Put your
take it.
scrap somewhere?
Yeah, I just threw that little scrap in the trash. I'll probably think
Oh,
about that
no.
later, and I'll
Yeah.
go fish it out so I can put it in my plexiglass box.
Yeah, I got to show them the plexiglass box.
Oh,
today.
yeah. Oh, God. This is really,
When you finish this block, I'll show them the plexiglass box.
it's an obsessive compulsive thing, or OCD, or I don't know. Years and years and years ago in a secondhand shop, I found a plexiglass box that was probably 4 feet by 4 feet, right, Jay?
Yeah, it was big. It's huge.
It was huge.
It was
And
ridiculous.
it said Mr. Penny's, is that what it said? Mr. Penny's
Mr.
Penny
Penny's
Collection?
Pennies.
And it was a fundraiser thing for an elementary school, and all these little kids were bringing in pennies, and I have no idea what they were saving the money for.
I can't imagine how much that thing weighed if they got it in
Well, they
there
can't
full.
possibly. I mean, he was really optimistic about how much he was going to get. It would have been, $100,000 worth of pennies. But anyway, I guess Mr. Penny had used it all he needed, and it was in this secondhand shop, and it was really cheap, and so I bought it and took it home, and I knew what I was buying it for, but I would never have said it out loud to anybody. I had room for it, and I just can't stand throwing away all these colorful little scraps. And so you can see I'm collecting them here. I always collect all the little pieces that I cut off because I do these teeny tiny miniatures. And so, this little tiny centerpiece here, I could use one of these and it would fill that space. And so I don't throw hardly anything away. If it's smaller than an inch by an inch, then I throw it away. Because
Well, you throw it in the box.
no, if it's I throw it in the. I'm sorry, you're right. I throw it
Yeah,
in the
you
box
do. I got the box here to prove
to
it.
prove it. But anyway, a couple of years ago, before we closed our little business, we went somewhere to buy furniture and things, and they had these plexiglass boxes that were display pieces, and it was much smaller and it looked a lot better than Mr. Penny's penny box. It had a hard few years, and it was full. I had filled that thing up a couple of times with material.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And
You couldn't move it.
That's
so
true.
heavy.
And it just had little scraps of fabric in it. But anyway, we got one of these little plexiglass display pieces, and that's what all my stuff is in now. And it's been filled up and emptied 3 times. And I thought when I emptied it the last time that well, all the times I've emptied it, I just thought there really wasn't anything else I could do with them, and I'd filled the thing up, and so I started over. And now there's a thing in the world called confetti quilts. You probably all have already heard about. So now I'll probably never throw it away again. I'm going to go crazy trying to make a confetti quilt next, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Okay, so here's number 8. It's a bigger piece, so I made sure that I cut a piece of material big enough to fit there. And I hold it with my 2 fingers and hold it up to the light so I can see that it's on the line, which you can't see very well, but when you're doing it in real life, you'll be able to see it. Oops. And the first little block is all done now. Yeah, you're right, Jay. I'm leaving the sewing machine pushed away from me, and I'm still able to do it. I have the world's worst eyesight, too. When people tell me they just can't do this, or a few of the comments that I've gotten are, oh, this is above my pay grade, but it's so much fun watching you do it. Trust me, it's not above your pay grade. You're just sewing on a line. If you're making quilts the way quilts are usually made, you're doing a lot more work than this. With this, all you have to do is sew on a line. It's incredible how easy it is, and it's just a matter of not looking at the back of the thing or not trying to think about it. It's kind of like when you're climbing a mountain, you don't look down. You just do it and don't question what you're doing. You just do it.
Okay. So is that everything on that one?
Yep, that's everything.
So while you're trimming,
you scared me.
the
I
edge
thought,
of that,
oh, have I missed something?
No, I'm gonna show your
Yeah.
scrap
The
box over here.
yeah. Go ahead.
So it's right over
It's
here.
like 4 feet tall.
And we're gonna go by the other machines and some other stuff, and then there's that machine there. And there's all the scrap stuff. Oh my gosh. You think she could make a confetti quilt out of that or two?
There are a few little blocks I've made.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, back to our show in progress.
That really gives you an idea how many little blocks I've made.
Yeah.
But that's just the most recent. I mean, that's maybe
So that's
5
like
months worth.
scraps like this from that. How many blocks and quilts
Yeah.
it took to fill that up?
A lot.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
Okay, and here we have
Okay, there's our first little block.
first
All
one.
done.
Okay.
All done. Okay, this is the one I messed up so badly on the last one, and the numbers are all fixed, and it'll be a lot easier. This I'm doing.
They won't even know because we didn't even finish to do that last one, so they won't even know.
Well,
if we didn't mention it.
Yeah, well, I am all about telling the truth here. Everybody can see that this is new to me. We just did this on a winter's day a couple of years ago. I was sewing, and Jay came in with his brand new GoPro that he'd gotten, and he said, hey, what do you think about making a video? And he sat there next to me, and he asked questions because he doesn't quilt. He's watched me do it for, 50 years almost. We've been married for 45 of those years. Okay, when I looked at this last time, I think this was number 1, right?
No, that was number 7, and the corner was number 6.
Yeah, and it was all wrong, and so now
Just didn't go in logical order,
Yeah,
and you said
you could do it either way, but that was more of a. What's my thread doing here? It just wasn't right. It was really confusing to somebody who's just trying to start out. So.
Yeah, and you need to follow the numbers. They don't always have to be followed, but until you understand
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
How it works, you're better to follow the numbers.
Well, nobody makes crazy quilts anymore, but when my aunt taught me, she was a crazy quilter. She made all kinds of things and they were all mixed media, like velvet and, back then I think they already had polyester material out. Oh, I can't imagine.
Thank God that's gone.
Yeah. Oh, I had a lot of polyester in my day.
Yeah, me too. Pants.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Bell
those.
bottoms.
I remember that.
Shirts. They never wrinkle.
Jay's mother had 4 boys. I bet the idea of never wrinkling was incredibly appealing to her.
That's what happened to her, 4 boys.
Every time we see somebody in a store or something and they've got more than one little boy, 2 little boys, we say a little prayer for them because we know, Jay knows. He said they poked each other and tormented each other.
He's touching me. I was here first.
I know. I have given his mother a hard time because she told me that no quilt should have black in it once, and it really, and I use a lot of black. I love black. It makes colors stand out so much.
That's right.
So I've given her so much grief about that, but the poor lady's gone now, and she raised 4 boys, so she had a special place in heaven. There's no doubt.
She did.
She's laughing at us right now. She's like, now you know.
Yeah.
And Brazos, my daughter Chase is Brazos's mother, and whenever Brazos would act out or have a tantrum, he didn't have many tantrums when he was little, but he did little boy things that would just drive you crazy. And I remember her looking at me once in just exasperation, and I said, I don't know, I prayed for girls, and that's what I got. And so forever after, whenever Brazos does something and we're all pulling our hair out, she'll look at me and she goes, I know, you prayed for girls. I know. Gave her that advice a little too late. But he is incredible. We love him dearly.
Yeah, but he's a handful. I can't imagine if she had like 3 other ones.
Oh, no.
He's 7.
Oh, no.
So when I was a boy, and the oldest one was 7, there were 3 others right behind there, all doing the same.
Mo, Larry, and Curly.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't imagine Jay. And knowing James is so calm and intellectual, but you and Joel and David.
Well, James was the oldest, and you know how they get.
Well, yeah, I was the oldest too. We're all much better behaved than
well,
you
guys. Get the first, like, I'm a new parent, I'm going to have all these correct rules, and you're going to, and after the first child, it's just chaos. It's just like, I ain't got time for that. That really wasn't as important as I thought it was.
I know, I was the oldest of 5, and I paved the way. They have no idea how good their lives were compared to mine. I broke the ice on everything. So I say this every time I make a quilt like this, but when you make one, you'll be doing more than 1 block at a time. I'm just, making 1 block, and it takes forever like this, and it will not be like this when you do it. You'll be doing several blocks, chain stitching them.
Chain them together so you can just go
and keep sewing. And then when you get to the end of the chain, you cut all the threads and start and fold everything out and iron it
and start over again. So it's a lot more efficient.
Yeah. These 2 colors aren't as dynamic as I thought they might be, but I didn't think it through as well as the other one. I've loved reading all your comments. I have to write down everybody's name. I realize that I can't tell everybody's name. So when you comment, if you write your name, I'll respond and say your name. One lady said, when I'm watching you, I'm right there with you sewing. She feels like she's sewing along with me, and I love that. It's the thing we do in isolation. That's probably why the retreats are so much fun and so well attended, because there's nothing more fun than being in your pajamas with a bunch of other women sewing. Works for me. Okay, let's put this little bat somewhere in the middle so he'll show like a fussy cut thing. Do you know what fussy cutting is, Jay?
What's fussy cutting?
Well, when you do little things like
explain it to me like
mansplain it, womansplain it.
Yeah.
Without the condescending tone. That's how women do it.
Yes.
But when you do little things like when you do things like little I Spy quilts where kids are looking for different things, you cut out the object of the interest so that it shows up in the quilt. Did that make any sense? No, I guess not. Anyway, I'm just trying to make it so that you can see a little bat here in the last piece. So we have a bat that shows up on our quilt. Okay. Hopefully I did it now that I talked so much about it.
Yeah, we'll see if we get a bat.
If not,
or half
I can
a bat.
tear it out. I can seam rip.
That's
There
right.
it is.
You and those Kai scissors of yours.
They're going to think we have some connection to Kai scissors. And honestly, all I know about Kai scissors is that I kept hearing quilters talk about them online and in person, and everybody loves these scissors. I have a Kai 7205. I think this is part of the professional line. It says they're high carbon stainless steel, like your ice carving tools, Jay.
That's right.
Cold rolled steel. And it's so incredibly sharp. And I've
It'll
had
take
these.
an edge and keep an edge.
Yeah, I've had these for a long, long time. And as you can see, I'm cutting through paper too, which is a huge no-no. But everything I do is paper
If I see you
pieced.
running with scissors,
Then I'm in trouble because
Yeah.
I've broken 2 rules.
2 rules.
But anyway, I don't think I got that as centered as I had hoped, but I had good intentions. Yeah, it's not centered very well. I'm gonna lose it when I sew it. But anyway, here's this little quilt that I'm critiquing, the little quilt block. So there's the
Okay, so
number
we have
2.
2 of the quilt blocks.
Yep.
You see all the little...
Uh-oh, somebody didn't turn their phone off. I think that's me. I just bought that new flip phone thing.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like flying a 747. I have no idea what I'm doing with that thing, but I'm having fun. And I thought I turned it off, but
It's
apparently...
the phone with the foldable screen. It's crazy.
I know. Well, you talked me into buying it. I would never have bought that.
Yeah, because it's cool.
Expensive.
And it's just the right phone for you.
I don't know how that...
Fortunately, you have a grandson who can show you how to work it.
I don't want him to know that I don't know so many things, but he already knows.
When you close it, it has another screen on the outside, so even when it's closed, you can see
still...
and do all the
Yeah, you
stuff.
fold it in half into a little tiny square. See, I'm miniaturizing my phone even. Oops, I just did the wrong thing. This is number 3 I just put on, but this is one of those cases where it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's what so I just illustrated.
Such a rule breaker.
I know I'm a renegade.
Put those scissors down.
This is exciting. This is as exciting as it gets for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll show here what I did. One of the things I'm learning about trying to illustrate this is that I've done it for so long that I just have like muscle memory or something, and I keep doing things without illustrating or talking about how I'm doing it, and just like that, I do something out of order that as a beginner, you want to try not to do.
Yeah.
But you can see that you could sew either one, and it's not going to hurt the design. You can.
No, but in the beginning. Try to follow the numbers, and once you start to really get a grasp on it,
Yeah,
you'll
you
see
stop thinking about the numbers. You'll just sew
The
it.
reason that numbers are like that is because there are
places where it's
where
important.
yeah, if you don't sew them in this order,
You sew this first,
you
or else
can't-
then that doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Leaves a hole in the design.
And but like I say, once you grasp the whole concept, you'll see those and go, oh.
Yeah, that's what I started to say a minute ago about crazy quilts. That was just, they used every scrap and bit of ribbon that they had and material from clothing and everything they could gather together. And it didn't matter what shape those things were in. They would just sew pieces on top of pieces to cover the raw edge on the one below. And that's all this is. It's just sewing and flipping. And you just cover the raw edge of the thing you put on before until eventually the whole quilt is covered and there are no holes in it. I know that didn't make any sense, but This is way easier than a crazy quilt, which I have tried to do, but I never made them. They really need a lot of cool material, and I remember when I tried to do it, I think I had brown, and beige pretty much.
Yeah, well, that was back in the days
when I started.
That's when all you could get was that and that
calico.
Pale green and pale.
Well, calico, little flowers. You could get a lot of little. Oh, is that a critique?
Yes, it is.
Well, I
Stop
started
using
the
those
quilt.
colors if you're using them.
Let's see. Jay.
What?
Believe me, not everybody likes all these bright colors that I like.
Well,
when
they're
I
on
was
the wrong side of the
wrong
line.
side of your tracks. Is that it?
Wrong side of the line.
Yeah,
I'm telling
that's
you.
not true.
Stop using those colors.
When, well, in that line of thought, when I was in my 40s, late 40s, I became blind in my right eye. And it happened in a moment, and suddenly I couldn't see out of my right eye. And I went to the ophthalmologist, and it was too late. There was nothing they could do. I had a hole in the macula, and so I'm blind in my right eye. And this young doctor, who was younger than me at the time, said, well, the bad news, we have bad news and we have bad news. And I thought, oh no. And he said, you've blown the macula in your right eye, so that's not coming back. And all I can see out of it is like fog. It's hazy. But I can see light and everything, but that's it. And he said, but that was your good eye. The other eye you have advanced macular degeneration in. And I do. And that was almost 35 years ago. And I really thought that by now I wouldn't be able to see. And so I was just panic stricken, like, well, what can I do about it? And he said, there's nothing you can do about macular degeneration, dry macular. It's just, and to this day, they don't have anything to help. It's finished. So here they are, 3 little blocks to go together into this quilt. But he told me that I would gradually lose color, that would be the sign that it was really, that my eyesight was really failing, and that purple would be the first color that I'd lose, that I wouldn't be able to see, that it would look brown to me and muddled. So I had a friend that drank, what is it?
Crown?
Crown Royal, that's what it is. I wanted to say
Crown.
But it comes in a purple velvet bag, or a felt bag, and he gave me one of those bags, and I kept it in my sewing drawer forever. And I would pull it out every couple of days and look at it and make sure that I could still see purple. And the color became just incredibly important to me then. I started thinking about it all the time and how much color there was in the world, and I was just desperate not to lose it. And so the good news is I haven't lost it, and I can make these little tiny quilt blocks. And so whenever anybody tells me that they don't think they can do this, I tell them about my eyes, and yes, you can definitely do this. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
I promise. Not hard.
So we're using these Halloween colors, which makes me think Halloween's coming up, and also the quilt show.
I know. We're going to
Every
take
year.
a couple of cameras down there. We go to the Houston International Quilt Show. I've been to almost all. I've been to almost all of them. I remember in the early days, Jay would go with me. He's almost always gone with me. And they would have a line of chairs in the back of the room. And I think back in the early days, they had something like 60 or 70,000 people that came. And that was, all of those were women, except for about 8 men that lined up in the back with those few chairs that they put out. And now almost everybody seems to have a man with them, and it's become, it's not just a woman thing anymore.
No, it's awesome.
But, yeah.
It's the most amazing thing. It's the biggest quilt show in the world.
Yeah, I think I think it's the biggest in the world, biggest in the United States. I'll have to look that up. But Carrie Bresnahan owned a quilt shop in Houston that I went into all the time. And I remember conversation about a quilt show, and it happened, and it's gone on for I don't even know how many years it's gone on now, but I've gone to almost all of them. I remember one year we had ice sculptures to do the night before, a dozen or more of them, and they were huge things that were going up into the Four Seasons and the Westin Galleria in Houston. We lived there then, and we were both just exhausted. Do you remember, Jay?
Yep.
And the next day he had to take ice carvings out again, so I went to the quilt show by myself, and I got down there and I was fine, but the minute I walked in the room and it was warm, I became sleepy, and I got about halfway through the show and I thought, I'm not going to make it. How could this be? As much as I loved it, I just couldn't hardly make it through all the vendors and then through the quilts. My God. But I made it through, and I got in my car and started to drive home that night, and I couldn't make it home. And it was, how many miles were we? About 40 miles from Houston then?
Yeah.
And I made it about halfway, and I thought, I'm going to hurt myself or hurt somebody else. I need to pull off and sleep for a while. So I pulled off in a Denny's restaurant thinking it was a good place to stop if you had to nap in your car. And I think I slept for 8 or 9 hours in that Denny's parking lot, and I'm sure you were frantic about what happened to me. But I was at the quilt show. How much trouble could I get into?
Yeah,
Right?
no cell phones back then.
No debit cards either, thank heaven. I think I just had cash, so it was limited, the damage I could do.
It's such a cool show. Half of it is all quilts, all types, all sizes from all over the world. And the other size is just vendors, all the major companies, sewing machine companies, quilting machines, all
which Jay just loves. That's how I have all these machines.
That's how you ended up with.
That I don't know. I don't know how to use them yet, but I'm getting there. The M17 Janome is I need a Janome rep to come sit down with me and make me do it, because I'm in awe of that machine. It's incredible. Yeah. We went to a quilt show here we live in Austin now, and we went to the Austin Quilt Guild show, and they had one of the M17s set up with that huge hoop. It's supposed to have the biggest embroidery hoop in the industry, and they had that huge hoop moving around, and it's incredible embroidery.
Yeah, they were making a peacock, I think.
Yeah, and they used variegated thread, and somehow the variegated thread was working out to color the feathers perfectly.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm a little way away from doing that.
Yeah.
I'll just be sewing a straight thread, and my brother-in-law is going to be doing all the embroidery. Well, thanks for watching again. We've remembered not to turn the fan on.
Yay.
I'm excited to hear more about what you'd like to know about. If you'd like to know about how I make these little pins, they're really simple. I can do a video about that. And I have lots of other things. I made mosaic quilts for a long time, and I've never seen anybody do that the way I do it. It's another thing I might be able to show you that you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this video will be going up today or tomorrow. Check our Etsy shop. Give us a subscribe on YouTube. We just added another block in the Etsy shop, and in a day or so I'll be able to get the new pattern for Celina up in the Etsy shop, and it'll have in the pattern it'll have a link to this tutorial. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. See you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.